Hello, my Aloha tribe, and welcome to the Aloha Perspective, where you get a little bit of something and a whole lot of everything. Happy Thursday. It is Thursday. We're back with the affirmators because I don't want to think. Oh, got a busy day ahead of myself. And yeah, so let's just get cracking on these. Oh my God, it's so humid right now. I know, I'm breaking out the fan again. I am breaking out the fan again. It is that time. Sorry, just give me a second. Busy morning. Busy morning. Anyways. All right. Let's do this. Affirmators. So, what is today's card? Boundaries. Oh, boundaries is always good. Oh, this is cute. They have a little a pig with a little skunk nestled up to him. I get that, but come on. You know what? If they didn't want to spray you, they're actually really cute animals. So anyways, I claim my right to set healthy boundaries and I allow others to do the same. Sometimes personal space is taken and sometimes it's given. And sometimes if you're on the subway, it's completely regarded, and shamelessly invaded. I guess it depends on the day. So, good morning, Muddy. Good morning, older sibling. Yeah, I know. I didn't want to complain about the humidity, Sammy, because I know it's much worse there. For me, it's my own fault. I mean, it's a little moist outside, but I had to go out and get some stuff this morning before my show, and I lost my parking spot because they're doing construction in my dad's complex. So I had to park down the hill. So I had to basically hightail my ass up the hill. So anyways, I know, sorry. So anyways, all right. Again, boundaries. I claim my right to set healthy boundaries and I allow others to do the same. Sometimes personal space is taken and sometimes it's given. And sometimes if you're on the subway, it's completely disregarded. Why can I not say that? Completely disregarded and shamelessly invaded. I guess it depends on the day. Well, let's start at the bottom. If you're on the subway or any kind of public transportation, the only public space you get is where your butt is. All right. I know this is trying to be funny, but for people like me who do struggle with personal space issues, whenever I'm on like a trolley or whatever, I mean, if it's standing room only, or, there's like there's no empty rows, there's no empty seats except around other people. Sorry. That's going to happen. So, not the best example to give in this card deck, but I get it. However, if we start at the beginning, I claim my right to healthy boundaries. Everybody has their right to healthy boundaries. You do not have to put up with shit you don't want to put up with. It's as simple as that. You do not have to put up with, people's nonsense, unless they change their behavior. Now, sometimes you might be the person who needs to change their behavior. And if you notice somebody setting healthy boundaries with you, then maybe it's time to take personal stock of what is going on in your life and how you treat other people. So remember, this perspective isn't just about covering what is good for us. It's covering what's good for everybody. So, and I speak from experience. I know that, I have had my moments of just lashing out and stuff. And that could be why, but I was lucky that the right people never set the boundaries against me. Actually, nobody ever really did, surprisingly. But then my behavior was kind of isolated to siblings. So sorry. But yeah, I didn't realize this, but I had started setting healthy boundaries a long time ago before I knew what healthy boundaries and boundaries were, before we came up with the term, right? For personal people and not just geographical stuff. So, healthy boundaries is like I said, let's just say it straight out. It's not putting up with other people's bullshit until they fix the behavior or heal the behavior. Sometimes that's all it is. It's a hurt person hurting people, but we don't help them when we coddle them. We don't help them when we make excuses for their behavior. We don't help them when, we just sit there and say, oh, well, you know what? That's okay. I had to learn the hard way with older sibling because she didn't set boundaries, and it was very rare when she would, lash back out. And maybe that's why, Sissy Joe and I would fight, because, she would get mad at me for something and then we'd just keep it going, and I think that was a weird release for both of us, but sometimes it escalated to the point where it was just dumb. And really probably every time not useful for either one of us. But hey, I got there and I figured it out and I made my amends, and I to a sibling and because she was the one I primarily lashed out at. Sorry, but I got to be honest here, because I don't want people that have unchecked behavior to just feel like they can keep getting away with it, because you can't. You shouldn't. Do you really want to live your life feeling guilty about how you treated other people after you heal? No, trust me, not where you want to be, because it is. It's tiring, and it's just tiring, and then you have to figure out how to get rid of your own guilt. So, just catch the behavior when you can. So the next one, sometimes personal space is taken. Yeah, that's usually the people you're setting boundaries against, and sometimes it's given. Personal space is given when you choose to hug somebody, or you choose to maybe, like watch a movie with your best friend, or maybe your companion, or maybe a parent, or whatever, or when you're being intimate, right? Because when you're being intimate, that's one thing we never talk about is, when you're giving someone permission to be in your space. And I don't care if, you're with somebody or you're not with somebody. If you didn't give somebody permission to be in your space, especially when it comes to intimacy, that is a violation of personal space. That is a violation of your boundary, and I know a lot of people think, here's trigger alert, because we're going to go there. I think a lot of people think that just because people are in relationships, that it's okay for someone to take what they want. It is not. I don't care if you're a man or a woman. It is not. If you do not have permission, no means no. Okay? I don't care what anybody says. No means no. No. And, you have to take that. You cannot take what does not belong to you. Just because you might be bound by a piece of paper or a commitment or a code word. I don't care. No means no. And if you violate that, that's on you. If you get in trouble for violating that, that is still on you. But also, when it comes to other people, don't judge the person that said no. Because a lot of people say, well, they're married or they're dating or yeah, really? Put yourself in their shoes. Would you want that being done to you when you said no? No. So don't defend bad behavior. That's why we have boundaries. Because we're either trying to push someone to get the healing they need, or we're trying to distance ourselves from poor behavior so that it doesn't affect us or the people that we care about or the people around us. Because what other people don't understand is that our behavior can affect other people. I had to set healthy boundaries within my own life. And it is, it's not pretty. And it comes with its own repercussions. And, I was talking to a family member about this recently, and you know what? One of the people I had to set boundaries with has, said some pretty nasty things about me. And nobody will tell me what it is, but I'm not stupid. I can put two and two together. I can chain things together. And I'm not going to deal with it. And I'm telling you right now, my setting that boundary, I would do it all over again. When people say, if you would go back and change it, no, I wouldn't, because that behavior does not need to be coddled. That behavior does not need to be okayed because it's so-and-so. No, fuck that. All right? I don't give a shit who you are. All right? When you disrespect somebody horribly, and when you mistreat somebody terribly for years and years and years, and then somebody comes in and tries to make excuses for that, no. Because the person I set the boundary for, and I mean the person I was defending that ended up having to set boundaries with two other people, that person was the one flailing in the wind who needed someone on their side, who needed that protection. And I would do it again and again and again. Because that person is important to me. And yes, this is all within my family. So if you think Shelly Marie has a perfect life, you are incorrect. But that's okay. Because, you know, like, I mean, it does make me sad. And it doesn't make me sad that I set these boundaries with these people. What makes me sad is that they totally shit talk me behind my back to other family. And fortunately, you know, I mean, I'm hoping that my relationship with the rest of my family is strong enough and that they know me well enough compared to someone who used to see me very sporadically because they don't live near here, that they know better, or just stay out of it. But yeah, I don't care. You know, I'm too old to care. It's like, you know what? I don't know who you think you are. It's like I show respect to people who earn it. And, you know, they always say respect your elders. When your elders are disrespecting people that you care about and are very close to you, no. I'm going to take my stand and I'm going to protect that person because they didn't do anything wrong. They simply, the only thing they did wrong was simply to exist because it had to do with two other people and they just got caught in the middle. So I know that's kind of airing dirty laundry and I don't care. I didn't name names. I'm sure some people will be able to put two and two together. But yeah, I mean, I would love to sit here and tell you what it's about, but it's not really my place because other people are involved. And one of them is doing their best to try to kind of get their shit together. So, you know, and I don't want to ruin that. I don't want to wreck that. So my boundaries are my own boundaries. And if they have to hate me to like somebody else, I don't care. That's the magic of it all. I think I care, and I think the things that they do and being nice to, well, not really my face, but you know, when my voice is in the room, they pretend to be nice to me. It doesn't hurt me. It used to, but it doesn't bother me anymore because I realize that after setting boundaries, that's not the kind of behaviors I need in my life. That's not the kind of good vibey stuff I need in my life. What I need in my life are people who are going to understand me, who are going to support me, and who I feel like I can do the same for. And that's what boundaries are. Those are the boundaries that are given. The boundaries that are taken are the people who step over the line and think that they can just say whatever the hell they want at you and you're not going to retaliate. You know, I mean, I have to tell you, when I used to, you know, struggle with my poor behavior because of being a hurt person, hurting people, and I would lash out at older sibling, every so often she would just rise up, I think with every little fiber of her being that she had, and she would just be like, enough. And it's kind of like, whoa. And it's almost, and it's not like it's because she spoke up. It's because it's almost like it broke me out of this trance that I was in. I'm not trying to say that, you know, I was having I was being possessed, because I wasn't, but it really felt like having an out-of-body experience when I was mad. It was like watching someone lose their absolute shit and not really even knowing why and being unable to do anything about it. And that's how it felt. It was like literally like having an out-of-body experience, kind of like, what the actual hell? And, you know, you're looking at yourself going, why are you like this? Why are you doing this? What is going on here? And yeah, every so often she'd speak up and it'd be like, ding, you'd just be like shocked. But yeah, I mean, I still apologize to her, and it's been years. I mean, sometimes I still get annoyed, but it's, I'm learning. It's a learning curve for me. It is, because, you know, patience is not my strong suit, but I own it. I own when, and I don't lose my shit like I did before, like that. I really kind of catch myself, and there are times, but I do try to keep myself fed, because sometimes it's my low blood sugar and I get hangry. And no, I'm not trying to make excuses. There are just a lot of things I have to do when I can feel that inner demon coming up, you know, that I have to, sometimes I even have to set boundaries with myself. You know, when I start to feel like that old feeling. Okay, so sibling says I would always try to bottom line it. I'm going to remove always, because there were a lot of times that you would shut down and you would just cry, and I would feel horrible because it's like, oh my God, I made her cry. And yet I didn't stop. But for the most part, I think when she feels like she can insert herself, she will try to bottom line it. She's like, let's bottom line this. And really that helped. That helped. And in fact, I was able to pass that advice on to somebody else, and they're like, let's bottom line this. What is really going on here? And it's helped them. So, you know, but yeah, I mean, you know, I mean, I don't want to feel ashamed anymore for those behaviors, because those behaviors are now being shared to help other people. But yeah, I am sad that I caused some of that, some of those turbulent times. I'm not proud of it. You know, I'm absolutely not proud of it, because there was nothing to be proud of. And sibling would have had every right to set boundaries with me, and I'm grateful that she didn't. She knew. I think somehow she knew what I didn't know, and it was up to her. I guess she took it on as a personal mission to figure out how to heal me, and I'm grateful for that, because that is the test of true patience. Because I do not have true patience. Although, you know, I'm getting more patient, so I shouldn't say any of that. But yeah, there have been times when I've had to set my own boundaries with myself, because like I have to separate from who I am to say, look, you need to just calm down. Okay, and like I said, there's only one person in this whole world that can tell me to calm down, and I won't lash out even now, and that's older sibling. I hate when people say that. They rile you up and then they tell you to calm down. So it's just kind of, but myself too, I have to tell myself sometimes, it's like, you just need to calm down. You just need to relax. Take a deep breath. You know, as older sibling would always say, she's kind of got that ingrained in my head. Take a deep breath. Not a huff, a breath. Because I will huff. I'd just be like, oh. You know, it's like, no, I said take a deep breath, not a huff. I know. Sometimes I'm like a 5'4.5" 5-year-old. But hey, you know what? I admit my shortcomings. And I think when we admit our shortcomings, we're able to heal them. We're able to move through them, even if we have to set our own boundaries with ourselves. So there you have it. Yeah, see, Sammy said it perfectly. Calm down are fighting words. They are fighting words. And I don't know what older sibling does to make calm down sound like it's supposed to, when she's just like, just calm down. And I think it's the tone. Maybe it's the tone, right? Because she's literally trying to tell you to calm down, not calm down, you know? And oh my God. So, I'm just saying the words and they're just annoying me. But yeah, Sammy, them are fighting words. Oh God, I didn't even mean to say it like that. Sorry. That was horrible. I'm not mocking anyone, I promise. Sometimes, so it's so weird, right? Sometimes this like Southern accent comes out of me, probably from being in the South for 3 weeks when I was 17. And for some reason, since I was a kid, sometimes this like random Cockney British accent comes out of me. I don't know. I don't know what happens, guys. I just, maybe too much TV as a kid or something. I don't know. Too much Bugs Bunny. But I swear I'm not weird. Well, I am weird. Never mind. I'll own it. But anyway, sorry about that. I don't want to offend anybody. But anyways, yeah, those are fighting words. Those are hardcore fighting words. But I think you guys get the point. The point is that Shelly Marie is still warm. The point is, you know, guys, if this is affecting the mic, please let me know. But yeah, the point is that setting healthy boundaries is not a bad thing. I have known people that set healthy boundaries against certain people, and those people realized their mistakes and got help, or tried to get help, or tried to at least improve their behavior, you know, and it's a work in progress. If you need professional help, get professional help. I know a lot of people still sit there and poo-poo the idea of therapy. I think it's an awesome idea. You know, it's a radical concept. Seriously, that's been around since like the late 19th century. I mean, how dumb can we be to avoid something that can be helpful? And I don't, you know, I'm sorry if I offend you when I say that, but it's like, if you need help and you're too proud to see a therapist, you need to question yourself and ask yourself, what is more important? You know, because there's a reason therapists exist. A lot of people will call it hokey. A lot of people will call it, you know, call them quacks. I'm telling you right now, if if you're with a therapist that you don't like, you can change. I know for some people it might be a little bit difficult. For the medical group I belong to, it's not as hard. I realize that if you have more of an outsourced thing, it can be a little harder because you may have to go back through intake and whatnot. But that intake is where they gauge where you're at. They gauge what they need to do. And yeah, and older sibling, I will put up with so much, then I just walk away. That's why I'm grateful she never walked away from me, because boy, I pushed her to the limits. But yeah, but I mean, she'll put up with it. She'll say, see, this is to me is like older sibling, right? She'll back away, then she'll set up a boundary, and if you keep crossing over those, she'll just be like, I'm out. She'll sell the property. It's like, I'm out. You can keep your bad behavior, and you can push it on to somebody else, because I'm not going to stand for it. So I am proud of her that she knows, because that's the one thing I've always found amazing about her, is that she doesn't care. She'll just walk away. I mean, we are talking about somebody who is a class A people pleaser like myself, but when she gets fed up enough, she'll be like, you know what, I don't need this crap in my life. I'm out. Bye. See ya. Calm down. So, and I love that. And it is very inspiring. It is very inspiring. I mean, like I said, the people that I've had to set boundaries against, I think I'm more mad about the fact that they just kind of say shit behind my back, including to people, including to my dad. And I'm just like, really? My own father? Like, this is my dad, okay? He is partially responsible for my creation. But yeah, I mean, it's just dumb. It's dumb. And to be fair, I have tried to extend the olive branch. And, I will honestly say, I took my part. I think it was kind of like a 50-50. I think it was kind of a 50-50 thing, but I did try to extend the olive branch. But when people push me and people tell me what other people should be doing, it's like, no, this is not your business. And I think that's what really got me in trouble, is I said, this is none of your business. And they're all like, well, this is so-and-so. And it's like, I don't care who it is. This is my so-and-so. So no, no. You don't get to dictate and control other people's lives. And that's basically what it is. It all comes down to control. And it's like, you know what? We don't need that kind of shit in our lives. We have enough problems trying to control our own lives. We don't need other people trying to control it. And that was one of the hardest things I had to do in my healing, was letting go of control. Letting go of control is so hard. Especially for people who have been through trauma, because control, it feels like the last thing that we have that tethers us to whatever, to that grounds us, right? Because we don't realize that when we let go of control, grounding is so much easier. Because, trying to control everything is like trying to stand in front of a tornado and hold up your hand and go, stop. What's going to happen? You are going to get ran over and sucked into the funnel and sent off to Oz. So it's not happening. It's not happening. And that might be the most blunt way I've ever put it, but you have to trust me on this, because I still struggle with letting go of control. And older sibling says, you've seen me do it. Yeah, I've seen her walk away. I've totally seen her walk away. I mean, that's what I'm talking about. It's like, wow, it's inspiring. And, here's the thing. When I say that sibling is a people pleaser, I'm not saying it in a bad way, okay? I mean, people pleasing is obviously an issue for a lot of us. I like to think I'm a recovering people pleaser, and yet I'm still a people pleaser. So, but when I say this, she is one of the kindest, nicest people you're ever going to meet. She would give you the last dollar in her wallet if you needed it. And then try to figure out, whatever next. Because that's the kind of person that she is. And, and I'm sure there's a lot of us out there who would do that, but sibling is not just my older sister, she's also my roommate when I'm home. So, I've seen her in action. I've seen her do these things, and I've seen her basically say, you know what, I don't need to deal with this. Bye. And so, and it is inspiring, because it teaches us, that even when we struggle with people pleasing, it teaches us that, we do have the power to create boundaries. We do have the power to say, hey, I'm only going to put up with so much. You need to stop. And the person she set up boundaries with was a completely different scenario, but another person that had to control every aspect of the group that we hung out with. You know, I want to say she was like our alpha, but she was a terrible alpha. You know, I mean, she would stir up shit just to try to fix it. And then when it would spiral out of control, she blamed the person that she was trying to set up to begin with. And it's just kind of like, And after a while, you know, just kind of like, it got comical. You know, it got comical. So that's a whole other, story in itself. You know, and then, you know, too, you have, there's Sammy. I mean, I've never met Sammy in person. We've never had, I don't have the same relationship I have with older sibling with her, but, you know, from the talks that we have and the time, you know, just being there, you know, she has her own way of picking me up when she knows that I'm not feeling well. And I mean, in my head, you know, she goes out and I mean, it's cute. She feeds her outdoor babies. It's the wildlife, guys. Mean people don't do that. Mean people shoot them and say, sorry, they were on my property. She goes out and feeds them. And they ate her flowers. And she's like, still, hey, you know, I don't want you to eat my flowers, so here, have some food, you know. So, I mean, these are, you know, good people. And I think that's more of what we should surround ourselves with. If you are with people that do not make you feel good about yourselves, it's okay to speak up. If they're really good friends, they will say, oh, I didn't realize. You know, I mean, like I said, I had a friend like that at work, and finally I said something. And I think they were a bit taken aback because I don't think they realized they did what they did. And I didn't realize that for a few years after that, they thought we were just coworkers, even though we hung out and went to movies, even though we did stuff outside of work, like, you know, because she became really close with older sibling as well. And then after my position was eliminated at work, she's still like, well, I guess we can be friends. And I'm like, I'm sorry, what? I thought we always were. And then I told her straight out, I said, well, hey, if you want to be my friend, you got to stop treating me like, you know, I'm your punching bag every time something goes wrong, because I'm not going to deal with it. And they didn't realize they were doing that. So, and I told them, I said, look, I get it. And I didn't say you're a hurt person hurting people, but that's really kind of what it was. They had a lot going on in their life, and that, you know, they didn't want to lash out at the other people. So they took it out on me because, you know, in a way I used to be kind of a weakling. And I don't mean that in a terrible way. I'm more just putting myself down. I hate it when people call other people weaklings. It's like, you know what? Not fighting back is the hardest thing anybody can do. And it's not because they're afraid. It's because, you know, why bother? You know, because you're just going to continue to be dumb. If you're the person that's, you know, like being a bully to someone. And they're setting their boundaries. So, I got bullied. I think we all got bullied. You know, I know older sibling did, by her teachers too. Isn't that terrible? God, the 60s were a horrible place. They were like the greatest and the worst place, right? That was like the greatest and the worst decade ever. And I mean that in the sense, like, there was so much that happened and so much awesomeness that came out of the 60s, and yet there was also so much ick that happened in the 60s. But yeah, I hate the word weakling. I probably should have picked a better word, but because I guess I'm shaming myself. But hey, you know what? We're getting off topic here. So again, boundaries. All right. I'm sorry, but if a little tiny cute skunk wants to nuzzle up to me, I'll take the chance because they're adorable. I had a dream about one. I had a dream older sibling had a skunk the other night. She's been wanting one, but because you can actually de-skunk them, which I personally find to not be cool because that's a part of them, you know? So yeah, let them live in the wild. All right. You want to feed them, let them live in the wild. But yeah, so let's read this one last time. I claim my right to set healthy boundaries and I allow others to do the same. Sometimes personal space is taken and sometimes it's given. And sometimes if you're on the subway, it's completely disregarded and shamelessly invaded. I guess it depends on the day. And again, if you are on public transportation, you have no such thing as personal space. Now, here's the thing. If like in this case, right, this is what they're trying to point out. This skunk is literally, like, practically in this pig's lap. All right. So the skunk is practically in the dude's lap. And there's all that other space. That I get. That I get. But if you're going to complain because you're on a packed public transportation, the only personal space you have is about 4 inches around yourself. Okay. But yeah, I get it. If there's nothing but empty seats and someone sits next to you, it's kind of like, really? Because I've gotten that way. It's like, really, right next to me. All the seats in the world, and you got to sit right next to me. Yeah, see, that's what I said. Sammy says the skunk wants a hug. That's what I'm talking about. Look at it. It's just, that is funny though. If you can, I don't know if you can see it really closely, because yeah, it's a little, I'll put it, you know what? I'll put it in the I'll take a picture and put it in the comments. He's wearing a Walkman. Just leaning up against the guy. It's hilarious. This guy is just like, really, him and his bow tie. Like, really, right here? But anyways, I know. We went off the rails. We did a little bit of everything today. But yeah, yeah, and see, older siblings says they're so cute and affectionate. Skunks are like cats, but probably more affectionate. I don't know. Everyone always has these bad things to say about cats. Every cat I've ever owned has been lovey, in one way or another. Even if they didn't want to be held, I mean, my little girl, the one, I've had a lot of babies, fur babies, but no, my current fur baby, she can be lovey when she wants to be. It's on her terms, but yeah, she can be lovey, and she'll let me hold her, and she'll let me, just kind of, I've held her like this, and she's just fallen asleep. And George siblings kitty, who's also my kitty, sometimes he'll just crawl up and fall asleep right there, and it's so cute. I have to tell you. Okay, I know we're off the rails already, so I don't care. One of my favorite things in the whole world is when George falls asleep on my shoulder, and I can feel him breathing in my ear. Just because, because he doesn't make a lot of he makes a lot of noise, but not when he's around you. And he doesn't purr a lot. His purrs are very subtle. I mean, you have to literally listen closely to hear his purrs and to feel them. So when he falls asleep up here and he just kind of starts breathing, it's just like, or even on my neck, it's just kind of like, oh, he's so comfortable, because that's trust. And, I guess if you were to say it, and I don't mean any disrespect in saying this, sibling is like a dog. She will trust you until she doesn't trust you. I am like a cat. You have to earn my trust. No, I don't jump in feet first. It's like, you have to earn my trust. And we are very different in that respect. And I think somewhere we are starting to move towards the middle and meet each other in the middle on this, where it's like, because some things have happened to her recently. It's like, well, maybe I shouldn't have trusted that so easy. It's like, no, maybe you shouldn't have. And then there's me that says, you know what? I can't keep holding everybody at arm's length. I have to learn to let people in closer so I can get to know them. And then you just discern it from there, right? You just decide, does this energy match mine? Maybe this person's in your life because they need your help and they don't realize it. So also, don't just walk away from people when things go sideways fast. Maybe there's something going on in their life, and that might be why they're in your life, so you can help them. And whether it's for a reason or a season or a lifetime, just sometimes we're called to action, and we're called to duty to help other people so that they can pass things on. So anyways, I hope everybody, it was all over the place today, but we got boundaries, right? We got the basis of the boundaries. If you see a skunk, you can run, or you can stay very still and just, I don't know. I mean, I personally would not want to be hit with one of those, because wow. Yeah. It lingers, just when you're driving, right? And it's like, whoa, where was that? But, yeah, so, unless you smoke pot, then in that case, I guess some people are just like, yeah, anyway, I went off the rails. I went off the rails hard. I didn't just go off the rails. I think the whole train just tipped over. Anyway. All right, so boundaries. I'll put the picture in the Facebook comments, okay? Because it is really cute. In fact, I won't put the whole card. I'm just going to zero in on these two because they're hilarious. Just the look on the pig's face and the skunk going, yeah, I don't care. I just want to sit next to you because, So anyways, all right. I hope everybody has a wonderful, wonderful day. Please, please, please take care of yourselves. Oh, wait. Okay. I know. I'm sorry. I know you two. I know especially you two that are live or wanting to do this. But all of a sudden, I just heard in my head, pull a dragon card. So you're going to get a special treat right now. I'm going to pull a dragon card for you. I was so close. You guys were so close. You were so close. Oh, you know what? I also have to share something since we're on here. And it's Thursday, which is basically Friday. The Happy Meal toys. Oh my God. Two of my favorite things. Ninja Turtles and Hello Kitty. Right? How cute is that? It is Leonardo. I really want the Kuromi ones. But you're like, why are you wrapping her up? Right now, I'm wrapping her up because I need to, I want to keep her safe for my house because she's going to go up behind where I do my show so you can see her. But anyways, Sammy's excited for the cards. All right. I had one the other day, the Adventurer. So let's see. All right. Who needs to hear what? This is like a perspective and an oracle reading. Yeah, there it is. Ooh. Oh, that's interesting. All right. I always try to do, consciously do 3 shuffles. All right. There we go. Ooh, the healer. I'm going to pull that one because for some reason, oh, and the shadow. Okay, seriously, stop it. I don't know who's needy out there, but stop. Got a lot to do today. All right. I know there was one more. I'm sorry, you guys. I did not think I was going to keep you this long, but here we go. The Brave. All right, let's start there. The Brave. We'll just run through these really quick. The Brave. That one's pretty. So there you go. There's that one. The brave among us understand the need to occupy the edges of things, away from comfort and security. To be brave, you must be willing to go to the edge of your knowing and make yourself comfortable in the uncomfortable. When we take that risk, we learn to trust our boldness and we get expansive views and an original perspective not possible from the center of the village, inside the confines of a familiar life. I'm going to pull right now the Shadow card because they go together. And the shadow says, the shadow knows. Sorry, dating myself. If you carry a big light, you're going to cast a large shadow, and you must own both. Endeavor in this moment to understand that shadow elements are at work. Be diligent not to project onto others your own fears, inadequacies, or resentments. This is your opportunity not to abandon any part of yourself, including your own darkness. Own all of it. Take responsibility for your shadows and the limitations you've put on yourself. Accountability is part of true power, as any dragon knows. And shadow work is actually a therapy principle that was introduced by Carl Jung, a renowned psychotherapist. I love Carl Jung. I'm a newbie Jungian. So, but yeah, his stuff it blows my mind. I didn't mean to do that, but I get it. It blows me, never mind. But in order to take accountability sometimes, especially if you're on the beginning of a healing journey, you have to be brave and you have to get uncomfortable, or you have to get comfortable being uncomfortable. Okay, no matter what situation you're in. Sometimes you have to learn that because that's where bravery comes from. Being that person that's standing on the outside looking in can be the difference between the group mentality versus what is actually happening. Because a lot of times group mentality, it can just, it filters out to the rest of the group and the rest of the group and the rest of the group, and they don't trust anything except what's being said to them. And when you're standing out here, you're able to go, whoa, wait a second, this may not be what we want to focus on. This may not be what we stand for. So why are we just going along with it? It doesn't matter. It's not about right or wrong. I think a lot of people think it's about right or wrong. It's not about taking things personally and thinking someone's personally attacking you, because they're not. They might be attacking your ideals, but they're not attacking you. They're just saying, I don't understand where this thought process comes from. So be that person. Get comfortable being uncomfortable. Step out of the group mentality and start to question things around you. That was what was so, I can't think of the word right now, but that's what was so unique about my upbringing, is I was raised by a Catholic and at the time an atheist. And an atheist who knew the Bible from front to back because of the religion that basically forced him out of his beliefs. Because he just was like, no, this is not right. I mean, he could run circles around my mom when it came to the Bible. And, but, he never stopped my upbringing with that, but he always made me question everything. What else was going on out around the world outside of the Bible? Because there was other things going on outside of the Bible. There were other religions happening outside of the Bible. They were building a great wall outside of the Bible. The Bible just focuses on one area and one belief. And I'm not putting it down, because I mean, there's always a part of me that's going to be Catholic. I'm a very more spiritual person now, but, I turn my higher powers to everything. So just, be brave, be comfortable, and don't be afraid to be that person that steps out of the group mentality to look in, right? Because it says here, we learn to trust our boldness, and we get expansive views and an original perspective not possible from the center of the village inside the confines of a familiar life. So in order to do shadow work, you have to be brave, all right? You have to be willing to look at yourself through other people's eyes. It's not easy, but it is going to save your life. The fairy tale list, 34, or at least I hope it will. It'll definitely do its best to change your life. Einstein once said, if you want your children to be intelligent, read them fairy tales. If you want them to be more intelligent, read them more fairy tales. Now is the time to let yourself sink into the wonder and imagination of a good tale. Also, it's time to remember that your life is a fairy tale. Ooh. As a myth maker, it's your job to remember that impossible things happen every day and that once upon a time is really here and now. There's power in your true life fairy tale. Live your tale today so magically that even the dragons have a hard time believing it's true. Anything is possible if you let it happen. In fact, if you look up the soundtrack for the Mary Poppins Broadway show, there's a great song that it's titled "Anything Can Happen If You Let It." So, and I like that. We all think that fairy tales don't exist, but fairy tales exist. Maybe there's not, like a woman hanging out of a thing with her hair hanging down and some guy climbing up to rescue her. But fairy tales can happen every day. People who've been married for a long time, even if, there's always going to be conflict somewhere, right? I mean, you're always going to have these moments where it's kind of tense or whatever, but you're still together. So that's the fairy tale. If you're single, the fairy tale is that you're doing whatever it is you want to do, right? And maybe your charming person, man, woman, whatever, might come in and go, hey, and you're like, whoa, look at that. You just added to my story. Thanks a lot. So, just never discount it. I know people always say, well, you can't believe in fairy tales. Why not? Why not? Because fairy tales is where things happen. If you're able to manifest things or you're able to pray and your prayers are answered, that's a fairy tale, right? Because it's happening. You asked for it and you made it happen. And if you didn't, then hopefully it's something that what came to you was that or something better, right? That's what we always talk about. So the fire bearer. I've got to look up the spiritual meaning for fire this week, because that's like the 4th time this week something has come up that is, pertaining to fire. So I'm going to look up the spiritual meaning for fire later. The fire bearer. Fire is your friend right now. Sorry. Fire is your friend right now. Whether you need a spark of inspiration, a flame of determination, the blazes of anger, or the fire of transformation, this moment is about what needs to burn. Do not be afraid to let yourself embody your own passion. Let yourself be ignited. Heat is necessary for alchemy, and now is the time for you to let the fire have its way with you and your present circumstance. Change is on the horizon, and any dragon knows fire is the companion of change. Please do not set fires. Please, if you need to light a fire, do it safely. Practice fire safety, please. Okay, this is not permission to set a fire. This is a metaphorical fire. All right. So the fire bearer. So yeah, and that can go with brave and shadow work. You're setting ablaze what does not serve you anymore. And you're going to go deep into the ashes of that shadow to heal. And you have to be brave to do it. So Sammy says, we've had a lot of fires this week. Had someone send me a DM about fire signs last night. I'm not one. LOL. I'm not a fire sign either. So see is not okay. That's it. I am going to look up the spiritual meaning of fire, and I will also put that in the comments right below the skunk and the pig. Okay, because I've got to know. Older sibling and Sammy, I'll text it to you. And the last card, the healer. Okay, you know what? This is interesting. Let's put these together, right? So the fairy tale list, you're dreaming of a better life. You're dreaming of maybe just healing. The fairy tale could be your healing, but in order to do that, you have to be brave enough to step outside of your situation and look at your life from the outside in. And in order to do that, you may have to go through shadow work. Or not even may have to. You will more than definitely go through some version of shadow work. And once you've done that, once you've healed all these bits of you that is standing in the way of your fairy tale, you will find that you're going to set those things ablaze and let it go. You're going to turn it into metaphorical ash and let it go to the wind. You're just going to let it go. Is it easy to let it go? No, sometimes triggers do come up. I will be honest with you, but you will learn how to deal with them, and you will learn how to face them more bravely than you were able to before you did the shadow work. And then it comes to healer. When you have moved through all of these stages of your healing, you will be able to turn around, and a lot of times it's not even on purpose. People will just find you if necessary, or you may do a show like this, or both, and you will find that you have now become the healer. Wow, I did not see that coming. Like, you saw me shuffle those cards. That is wild. Dragons can be helpers, and if you carry dragon's blood in your vein, it's likely you want to leave this planet better than you found it. Just remember the one rule all fierce beings employ before contributing healing services. Offer help to those who are helping themselves. This way you are able to maintain your vitality without leeching it out in the name of dependency. Another healing principle dragons know: you can only meet someone as deeply as they're willing to meet themselves. So whether you fly high or dive deep, you must understand who and what you're dealing with. Now is the time to employ discernment and offer a healing hand in hand, paw in claw. So that is true. And I'm going to say this is trauma-based, but I don't think it's just trauma-based. Although maybe it is. I don't know. But a lot of times we'll try to find people that are like us. And when we have the inability to heal ourselves, we will try to heal other people. Or we'll reach out and give everything of ourselves to the people who have reached out for healing because we still can't manage to heal ourselves. If you are going to be a person who is going to help somebody else, I highly recommend healing yourself as well. Please. Not because, for any other reason, then you deserve that peace in your life. You deserve to feel good about yourself. You deserve to look in the mirror and not groan every time you do. You deserve to look in the mirror and see somebody who's amazing, spectacular, wonderful. Because that's what gets us through every day. Self-love. And when we have that full cup of self-love, when it is overflowing, we can give. We can lend a hand to others without losing, as it says, that vitality that's within us. As a healer, I was taught, do not give of yourself, or no, do not take what is going on in there, but to also ask if you do have a higher power, or to reach out to, to try to build that energy so that you can give not from your core of your being, but from the excess to heal them. But do not take, because you cannot take what they're holding on to. You can only give them what they need to try to heal it. And the rest of it is up to them. That's with Reiki. That's with other things. I mean, here's the truth about it. If someone is seeking out Reiki, 9 times out of 10, they're a believer. So it's going to work. That 10th person may be like, oh, I'm at my last straw, blah, blah, blah. I don't really believe it, but hey, work your magic. You got to believe it 100%, because it's going to work with your energy to try to help you get rid of all that other stuff. And yeah, healing can cause a lot of upheaval. What am I trying to say? Healing can cause a lot of upheaval, because it is going to rip out of you a lot of things that you forgot were there. It is going to make it all resurface, and it is up to you to not push it back down, but to get it back up and get it out of you. Get it up and out, period. So like I said, I did not see this coming with all of these cards, but they create a story. They create a story, and in the end, it is the fairy tale. I always believed in fairy tales. I wouldn't say I'm living the traditional fairy tale, but I healed. And it was the scariest and hardest thing I ever had to do in my life. And the scariest and hardest part was letting go of that person I used to be who survived in trauma, because I didn't know that there could be anything else. I did not believe that that was meant for me. And once I realized that self-love is so key, and self-acceptance and self-respect and self-worth are so important to who we are and our healing, it's not selfish. None of these self things are selfish. They're all things that make us whole. They're all the things that sit there and say, hey, you know what? This person's having a bad day. I'm not going to take it personally that they're yelling at me. Because maybe they're just not feeling right. And that's because you're discerning. You're realizing, hey, whoa, this isn't about me. So I'm just going to sit here and let them vent. And maybe you're not going to say, hey, let's bottom line this. You might have to sometimes, but you might just say, you know what? Is there anything I can do for you? And if they say no, it's like, okay, well, just, tell me what's going on. And you don't always have to do that. Sometimes you can just sit there and hold space for them, because they just may be unleashing, and they just may be expelling this bad energy. Is it right? No. Is it fair? No. But you know what? It's okay. Like I said, you can discern when people are being a knucklehead, and when people are just having something that comes up that they just didn't see coming, and it just lashes out like a Indiana Jones whip. But you can dream of the fairy tale. You can be brave enough to pursue it. You can do the shadow work to help you. When you get to that point, you can let go. You have healed, and then you can become the healer. And then your fairy tale comes right back to full circle. All right? So, wow. I'm glad, I don't know who, Archangel Gabriel. Thank you. High five. High five. So anyway, wow. Yeah, I did not see that coming. But yeah, I'm glad we did that. So I hope everybody has a wonderful, wonderful day. Thank you so, so much for watching. I will see you back here Monday. I don't know why I was going to give the date. Monday. I'll see you back here Monday, 8:30 a.m. Pacific time, Facebook Live. All lives are public. Anybody can watch across the board under Shelley Marie Lucas. You can find me on social media either under Shelly Marie Lucas, the Aloha Perspective, or on Twitter under Shellbell's Quest. All right. So again, I hope everybody has a wonderful, wonderful day. If you want to see the skunk, you got to look in the comments on Facebook. Again, all my lives are public, so anybody can look. We do not need to be friends on Facebook. And I will also put the spiritual meaning of fire in the comments there. All right. So again, have a great day, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. My girls, thank you for hanging on there. You know, even when we went, I think our train didn't just go off the rails. It ended up on a whole different track. So, but anyways, thanks for hanging in there, older sibling, hybrid muddy. I appreciate you both. And for everybody else watching and everybody else that got this far, thank you, thank you, thank you, you know, for tuning in. I appreciate you. And I do wish the best for all of you, you know, whether you're struggling with one thing or another, don't shame yourselves. All right. I'm not shaming you. I just want everyone to feel better in their lives. And I want everyone to feel like, you know, they're not just hanging on by a nail, by a fingernail. Okay. So take care of yourselves. Have a wonderful and safe weekend. Hybrid Muddy, I love you too. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I will talk to everybody later. Have a wonderful day.